In news from courts in the territory, we learned that one man is facing charges after reportedly threatening to stab a colleague. Another man was arrested for aggravated assault and battery on an officer, while a third man was arrested after police out on patrol heard shots being fired. An employee of a car wash in Christiansted reported being assaulted by his coworker, 19-year-old Yaikol Morel. The man said that on December 15th, he was on the job when around 8:40 a.m., Morel got upset with him and ordered him to stop pressure washing his personal vehicle at the same time he was attending to a customer's vehicle. The man ignored Morel, he said, and Morel turned off the washer, but turned it back on when the man demanded he do so. However, Morel got increasingly angry at his co-worker ignoring his comments and eventually reportedly walked up to the complainant and delivered several open-handed slaps to the right side of the man's face with one hand while holding a knife with the other. Morel then pointed the knife towards his co-worker, threatening to stab him while another employee held him back. He was eventually disarmed by a different co-worker and the police were called in. Responding officers reviewed surveillance footage which showed the events as described. The car wash owner then handed over the knife Morel had used to menace his colleague. The 19-year-old was then arrested and charged with third-degree assault, simple assault and battery, disturbance of the peace by fighting, and carrying or using a dangerous weapon during a crime of violence. In court on Friday, a judge ruled that Morel be allowed to sign an unsecured bond for the full $25,000 bail requirement and provide a vetted and approved third-party custodian to secure his release. If he can do that, he will be barred from leaving St. Croix without the court's written permission and must surrender his passport. Morel must then report to the Office of Probation every Tuesday and have no contact, direct or indirect, with the complainant or any witnesses in the matter. Tristan Joseph was arrested on December 16th after a disturbance at a restaurant in the Lime Tree area. Officers who were called in to respond arrived at the establishment to find Joseph pacing up and down, yelling and seemingly talking to himself with blood dripping down his right hand. Police ordered him several times to come outside and have a seat, but he did not comply. Officers attempted unsuccessfully to restrain him, and then a retired court marshal and a VIPD officer teamed up to take him to the ground. Even then, the pair were unable to place him in handcuffs, and Joseph then reached out and grabbed the officer by the throat. The officer broke the clinch by deploying his taser, but Joseph merely pulled the prongs out of his body, pushed the policeman away, and went back into the kitchen from where he almost immediately returned. Once again, police tried to restrain Joseph while he actively resisted, but this time they were able to get him into handcuffs. The retired marshal then told officers that he was approaching the restaurant when he saw Joseph outside, swaying from side to side, using profanity and throwing trash into the bushes. The witness said he sat down inside the restaurant to have dinner with his wife, and while seated, he heard loud noises coming from the kitchen. Joseph and a female employee emerged, engaged in a heated verbal argument. That's when the marshal says he called 911. The employee Joseph was arguing with told police that she went to check out the loud noises she heard emanating from the kitchen and found an enraged Joseph. She says she hugged him to try to calm him down, but he pushed away from her, hitting his head in the process. Joseph was transported to the Roy Lester Schneider Hospital for medical treatment and then taken to the Richard N. Colwood Command, where he was charged with aggravated assault and battery on an officer, interfering with an officer while discharging his duties, and disturbance of the peace. In court on Monday, a judge ruled that Joseph be allowed to post $1,000 in cash to secure his release. He will then be barred from leaving the St. Thomas and John district without the court's written permission. Joseph must report to the probation office weekly and is banned from the restaurant in question except to retrieve his belongings. The usual prohibitions against drugs, alcohol, controlled substances, firearms, ammunition, and dangerous weapons apply. Gerard Auguste was arrested on December 18th after an officer patrolling in the Havenside area heard several shots being fired. The officer immediately stopped the vehicle to observe the area and saw a man with reddish locks dressed in black running with what appeared to be a black firearm in his hand. The officer said he activated his siren and noticed the man, later identified as Auguste, tucked the firearm into his waistband as the policeman exited the patrol vehicle. Auguste ducked behind a white Ford pickup while the officer took cover at the back of the police vehicle. When Auguste came from the right side of the truck with a gun in his hand, the officer ordered him to drop the weapon, which he did. Auguste also complied with the officer's instruction to approach with his hands up, after which he was handcuffed. A preliminary inspection of the area uncovered several spent shell casings on the ground, and Auguste was discovered to have had a black Glock 43 9mm handgun. Although there was nothing in the chamber, the gun had a 10-round magazine containing live bullets. The weapon's serial number had been obliterated. Auguste admitted that he did not have a license to carry a firearm in the USVI and was subsequently arrested and charged with possession of an unlicensed firearm, possession of a firearm with an obliterated serial number, and possession of ammunition. In court on Monday, a judge ruled that Auguste be allowed to post $750 cash of his $15,000 bail requirement, with the remainder to be posted as an unsecured bond. Once posted, he will be released into the care of third-party custodians. Auguste will then be barred from leaving the St. Thomas and John district without the court's written permission. He must also surrender his passport and report to the probation office once a week while remaining gainfully employed. Auguste is prohibited from using alcohol or any controlled substance, as well as from possessing a firearm, ammunition, or dangerous weapon.